What's up, guys? It's John Muscarello from Side Hustle Experiment. If you're new to the channel, I am a six-figure Amazon seller. I mostly sell books and media. I also sell on eBay as well. And in today's video, I am going to cover everything you need, all the tools and tips and tricks to process your first batch of Gaylords. If you don't know what a Gaylord is, it is a huge box of books, as you can see right there. Excuse me. And there's about 700 to 1,000 in each. If you're watching this, you probably already started cherry picking, which I recommend starting with. Do not start with bulk. So you're going to want to plan to do this. I did cover in another video 5 places you could buy Gaylords. So now I want to talk to you about some of the things you're going to need and the costs associated with them. I'm going to list all the things you need or talk to you about them, and then kind of cover some tips and tricks for each one of them, the costs associated and all that stuff. So you probably have already been selling books and now you want to kind of level up, get into bulk books. So you got to think about a place that you're going to process the books you buy. You have to think about how you're going to pick them up, and how you're going to load them and how you're going to unload them. You have to think about what are you going to do with all the duds. So you have to have something lined up for that. You're going to need a place to process all of them. So let's start covering all this stuff. So let's start with before we even talk about picking them up, you're going to want to have, maybe if you have a garage, you might be okay processing them there. Or you're most likely going to want a storage unit. So you're going to want to get, you probably a 10 by 20 could fit about 8 Gaylords, which I recommend buying anywhere from 6 to 8. You just don't want to buy 1 or 2 because you're not going to get a good feel for exactly what you need. Like, don't go there with a pickup truck and get 1. It's just don't do it. So you're going to need a storage unit. Most of the storage units, they offer deals, so you can get like a month free. So they'll give you like a free trial month, but there are like kind of hidden fees. So there's going to be an application fee most likely. You're going to need to pay insurance, which the storage unit takes care of. It's probably like $20. They're going to try to sell you a lock because you have to lock your unit. So just go to Home Depot and get one because the ones at the storage unit are probably like $12. So yeah, you're going to need a storage unit. It's good to, you could process the books there. There is another way you could process the books, and I'll get to that in the next thing that you're going to need. But yeah, have an idea where you're going to process them. Don't go to the place you're going to go and say, hey, like, I'm ready. I want to buy a Gaylord. And they say, okay. And then you're like, oh, I got to figure some stuff out. You want to be ready to go. So you're going to need a place to process them. A storage unit is most likely your best bet. Number 2, how are you going to pick these books up, right? These Gaylords weigh anywhere from 800 to 1,200 pounds. Most are probably about 1,000. So you're most likely going to need a truck with a lift gate. I mean, that's unless you have a forklift, which you probably don't. But if you happen to have one, you don't need a lift gate. But you could go to, you're going to need a U-Haul or a Penske truck. I don't know if U-Hauls actually have lift gates, but Penske trucks definitely have lift gates. Home Depot sometimes does Penske rentals, so you could do it through there. You're going to want probably at least a 26-foot truck with a lift gate. That will give you plenty of room to fit 6 to 8 Gaylords. Another thing so I'm going to go back to my last point. Another place you could actually process the books is the actual truck. So when I got my first batch, I actually had someone help me, and we actually took them off the truck. And how we did that, so another thing you will probably need is a pallet jack. And you could rent one of those as well. Home Depot offers rental, or you could just do like pallet jack rental in my area. The reason I rented one is because I didn't know if I wanted to do Gaylords, and instead of buying a pallet jack, I decided to rent one. And plus, you're gonna want to be able to move these. Like, there's no other way to move them except with a pallet jack. So just, I think the rental was like $30 or $40. So just spend the $30 or $40. The last thing you want is like a Gaylord stuck somewhere, and no way to move it. So you could process them in the back of a truck. So that's the two options: in a storage unit or in the back of a truck. So we talked about storage unit, a truck with a lift gate, a pallet jack. You probably already have scanning software. You're going to need you're going to need boxes or an empty container to put the duds and the good books. So I used small Home Depot boxes, so I put all the winners in those, and then I would take them home with me to like list them. You probably want like some Rubbermaid containers, maybe like something like this right here, a bigger one. This way you can put all like the bad books in there for the first Gaylord. So when you're scanning, you're putting the bad books in there. And then once you're done with the first Gaylord, you could kind of like dump them in there, and like use that as your first dud Gaylord. And then as you go, hopefully you're pulling out enough winners where like you have like an extra Gaylord and you're fine. Another thing, where are you going to get rid of the duds? Don't go and buy them and just be like, oh, I'll figure that out later, because getting rid of the duds is a really hard thing to do. So basically, you could get rid of them at a thrift store. You could try to find a recycler to come and get them. But most likely, you're going to have to bring them to a thrift store. So you could either box them up and, put them in the truck. I've done it a couple different ways. So when I first started, so this is what I did. I rented a truck. It was, I think, 26 foot from Home Depot. And a tip on this is use a personal credit card. When I used a personal credit card, it was like $129 to rent the truck with a lift gate. I thought it was crazy because everyone was saying how expensive it was. And then I used my business credit card, and they realized I was a business and charged me like $300. I don't know. Do what you want. They charge you like insurance and stuff like that when they know you're a business. I don't know. But once you're like locked in as a business, you're locked in. Do what you think is best for you. So yeah, you get the truck. I went to the thrift store. They loaded up the truck for me. So if you make sure you ask, can they load the truck for you? They loaded it with a forklift. I didn't need to bring a pallet jack. They just loaded it for me. It was great. Then I took the truck to the storage unit. And the plan for me, my very first one, which was the biggest mistake, is I boxed up all the duds. So I actually got medium-sized Home Depot boxes, and as we were scanning, I was just putting the bad books in there. And what I came to realize is that they are extremely heavy, and it was just a terrible idea. They're all breaking because they were like almost 80 pounds, and you can't really stack them on top of each other. So what we ended up doing is working in the truck. We would do that. We were working inside the truck, scanning, putting the bad books in those medium-sized Home Depot boxes, and eventually we'd clear out one side of the truck, and then we kind of shifted all the bad books into the back, and then we did the other one and did the same thing. And the idea was to do everything in one day. So we picked up the books at 8 in the morning, got them, we're back to the storage unit by 9, scanned everything, and we dropped them off at a Goodwill outlet, all the duds, later that day. The reason we did this the reason I want to do this is because I already had the truck, so I didn't want to scan through it, put the duds in a storage unit, then have to rent another truck and bring them to another thrift store another day, because like it's just more cost, it's not efficient. So yeah, if you worked in the truck, you could just do that. Probably a better idea would be to get the books at like 2 in the afternoon. This way you don't have to return the truck to 2 the next day, so you could kind of like have the nighttime to do that. if you needed extra time. And then you'd have to make sure that you could drop off the duds at a thrift store. A pro tip there, make sure you call the thrift store before. Don't just show up with, hundreds of boxes of books, because they might not be able to take all of them. And then what we learned the first time we brought all the books, they were just like, oh, you could take them, we would take the Gaylords for book donation. So that saved us a lot of time the next time. Another thing to keep in mind, you're going to have to buy the Gaylords and the pallets from the thrift store most likely. They'll probably charge you $10 to $10 for the box, $5 for the pallet. So just keep that in mind when you're doing that. And you should be paying, if you're buying from a thrift store, anywhere from 5 cents to 8 cents per pound. Just really depends. Probably closer to 5. Yeah, that's kind of all the tools that you need to process. So let's cover it again. A truck with a lift gate, a place to process them, a place to get ready your duds. You want to have all this outlined and the cost outlined before you even talk to a person to buy duds. A pallet jack and scanning software we talked about. And yeah, that's kind of everything that you would need to process Gaylords of books. Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming at first. I think a lot of people think, oh yeah, like I'm just going to get these books. It's going to be really simple. But like kind of like that equipment that you need. I mean, that's how I did it. I mean, I'm sure there are other ways you could do it. But again, like I would highly, highly recommend like know where you're dropping those duds off. Try to do it the same day. Have someone help you. Just like go quick. And this is also to make sure you even like it. Like you might do like get 6 or 8 and be like, this is terrible. Like I don't want to do this. And then you didn't buy a pallet jack. You didn't, commit to a storage unit long term. Like you could just basically walk away from it and go from there. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if I missed anything. I don't think I really did miss anything. I will put links to the other video that I mentioned. And I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one.